Hello, darling, and welcome back to the Modern Cavewoman Show. Today's topic might be something that could trigger a person, but I'm going to try and spin it in a little brighter light with a little levity. And I've titled it, Yay, We Disagree, because I want to start off with that kind of energy around it. And here's what I'm going to tell you about is why I actually appreciate, I love getting constructive criticism. I love it when people disagree with me and give me a different perspective, especially online, like on social media or on my blog, right? Getting those comments is always fun for me. And I know a lot of people talk about it online, like they get rude comments and mean people who think it's their job to lash out at strangers, and that it's not a pleasant thing. A lot of people will suggest to just block and delete, block and delete. I've never done that, and I've never actually felt very offended by a stranger's comment on any of my posts. And don't get me wrong, I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about really violent kind of lashing out. I don't want people coming up on the street and saying things that make me cry. What I'm talking about is a debate, an exchange of perception about whatever it is, a difference of opinion. I always appreciate those things. And I notice especially I'm not even going to say recently. I think from the beginning of time, there's always been a lot of conflict around politics and religion and things like that, right? And I love hearing other people's opinions. I love seeing where they're coming from when they say that, especially because we all have different experiences in life, right? We all see life through a different lens based on our history, what we have learned, what we have been through, what the people around us that we care about have been through affects us a lot, right? So, just a light example, I do get comments sometimes on my posts that aren't very flattering. Not everyone is like, "Ooh, great post. Thank you for sharing. Oh, I loved this." You do get a lot of that because people don't tend to follow someone that they don't appreciate. But at the same time, I do sometimes get these comments that are like, "What the heck are you talking about? You don't make any sense. You're not smart," whatever it is. And, in fact, one time I got one from this guy, like some random guy. I don't even know who he is, right? He's a total stranger. So I've got nothing to lose, right? Like, there is no risk involved with a stranger commenting on your stuff on the internet and how you decide to take it, right? Well, maybe there's a little risk in some instances, but in general, there's really no risk. It's usually just someone dropping a little bomb on you and going on to the next post. And that's why it's never really affected me. Once in a while, I suppose if I'm having a bad day or something, I may have been like, oh no, tragedy. Some stranger on the internet didn't think I was wonderful unicorn rainbows and glitter. But at the same time, I'll tell you about this example. So this random guy who, posted basically like what I said didn't make any sense and I was all wrong. And it was actually super helpful. That's why I remember it so clearly because it was early on in something I was starting to teach, and I was going to be teaching a workshop on it, a full out course type workshop. And his comment made me stop and go, oh, okay, wait a minute. So, the people who are coming to my workshop may not have ever had a conversation with me. They may not have ever been exposed to this topic. And I want to make sure that I make sense and that what I'm saying actually teaches appropriately, right? So, his comment was totally helpful. I went back through my content and I was able to kind of go, okay, yeah, I talk about this all the time. So I make a lot of assumptions that other people who don't talk about this all the time probably aren't going to connect those dots. Therefore, I needed to connect those dots in my teaching. So it was, really low skin in the game to post about it on social media and get that feedback. but it was a little more, in fact, very important to me to be able to teach clearly in a workshop where people were showing up specifically for this. They're not just scrolling for something interesting. Like they had dedicated their time, energy, and attention to me, and I wanted to show up at the highest level I possibly could. So, thank you, random dude on the internet who dropped a little hate bomb on me. And I actually I didn't even delete it. I replied to him and I said, "Thank you." I went back and looked at my workshop content, and you're right, I do need to connect more dots. And I hope that whether he saw that comment or not, I don't know. If he did, I really hope that it made him smile, either to go, haha, I was right, and feel good about himself, or haha, this girl's really unhinged. I don't care what it was. I hope he enjoyed that response. So that's all just to sum up a little bit about getting constructive criticism. And I hope that it draws a picture for you that if you are online or you're thinking about getting online and talking about something that's important to you, and you do get confused fans who show up and think it's their job to say something mean, maybe this perspective will help you a little to go, you know what? First off, any comment or like or dislike or whatever, any activity on your posts is good for the algorithm. It doesn't care if someone likes what you say or not. All it cares about is a conversation happening here? Is there activity? Is there interest? So thank you, haters, for posting your hate. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do it more because that gets more eyes on the content from people who actually need it, right? It helps the algorithm know to spread this around a little more. The second thing is, like I talked about, sometimes those comments might actually help you to improve something. And the third thing is sometimes you do just look at the comments and it's just like, you know what, this person is just not okay today. Like they're hurting and so they're lashing out, or they're bored, so they're spreading a little pain. Who knows what it is, but it's not about me. And this is another conversation that if you want to get into, leave me a comment about how to release that attachment of what someone else is saying or doing not being about you, because it is very rare that someone is actually reacting to you and not to something already with them, right? The experience that they're already having, their own trauma or history or whatever it is. So that's a psychological thing we could talk about some other time. But I did want to talk about one other really interesting facet to this. If you're still with me, I hope you'll enjoy this, is that when someone disagrees with you, there's friction there that allows you to get to know yourself better. So I know there's a lot of experts who talk about getting to know yourself alone, like spending time by yourself to get to know yourself better. And there's value in that, of course. But here's the flip side to it. Like, we are not on earth alone, right? We're not doing this life thing alone. So there must be a reason that other people are here with us. I think there's lots of reasons that there's other people here with us. And one of them is that we don't all agree on everything all the time. I mean, how boring would that be, right? But also, when you do disagree with someone and you can do it in a respectful way, like I said, I'm not talking about lashing out and being violent and hurtful. I'm talking about like someone having a different opinion or someone stating something as fact and you going, wait a minute, that doesn't line up with what I believe. Your belief is not my belief, or your opinion differs from my opinion. And you can actually know yourself at a little higher level that way, right? Because that solidifies I am a woman who actually believes this, not that. I'm a woman who knows this as truth, not that. And I'm not going to get into who's right and who's wrong because honestly, it's usually very subjective, talking about people Our experiences, our past, our traumas, things like that, all color our view of life. And so, not to get into too fine of a point on it, I really don't believe that there's a black and white, right or wrong in most situations. Obviously, I do have deep-seated beliefs in certain things being right or wrong, but for the most part, I think we do walk through the world and everything is a spectrum. There's light and dark, and there's gray, and there's some people's pain is other people's pleasure. Like if you are terrified of public speaking, there's someone else out there who just lives for it, loves it, can't get enough of it, right? You've probably seen them. I think of someone like Gabby Bernstein or Tony Robbins, like they get up and they are on their purpose if they're speaking to people. And then I knew a girl in school who actually peed her pants when she got up on stage. She was so terrified to talk in front of a group of her classmates. And so that's kind of going off on a little tangent. I'll bring this back around to yay, we disagree. Yay, we disagree. That means I know myself. I know myself better. And that's important for some of us who are historically people pleasers or shrinkers or hiding from whatever to stay safe, right? When we can start to come out of that fog and actually own our own who we are kind of things, that's great. Disagreements can also create healthy boundaries, which I also think is great. And then, of course, like I said, sometimes you just get angry people on the internet and bless them for helping the algorithm spread your word farther, right? So let me know what you think of this in the comments. You can also leave me a text on my website at thecolleenbean.com/contact. And let me know what you think. Let me know what your experiences are with this. I think it would be a really fun conversation that if you've ever gotten a really hateful or mean message and you would like my little perspective on it, I'm happy to give you another perspective if it's made you feel really bad. Maybe there's a way to actually let it make you feel better. Dare I say, really good. Like my example, I really could have let that guy take me down. I could have been like, oh, I can't teach this workshop. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm too stupid to discuss this. Instead, I saw it as, okay, I need to make sure that I'm good enough to talk about this, right? That this topic is something I'm actually educated enough to share with other people. So that's my example of how we can change our perspective. And if you ever need help with that, I'm here for you. Send me a text, send me a comment, share or like with someone who maybe someone who is really scared of anyone ever disagreeing with them. Maybe this little podcast will help them. You could share it with them if you feel like it. So, otherwise, have a beautiful week. I hope everybody's nice to you. And if they're not, I hope it doesn't bother you too bad. And I'll talk to you again next week.